Yo, what's good, y'all? It's been like 7 months since music released by Playboi Carti, and if you guys are an OG viewer and you guys have been watching me for a while, you will remember how much I fucking defended this album. Like, I was glazing the fuck out of it. I was on his dick consistently. Like, for like the entire month, I was bumping this album. I was looping it. I was playing it so much, right? But then, what happens when you play something over and over again for like a month straight? What do you think will happen? Of course, boredom kicks in, and you start getting sick and tired of the album and of the music you're listening to, right? So I did take like a small break, I guess, from music. I took like a few months off. Like, it's not really a small break now that I think about it, but still, I took 4 or 5 months off from, playing this album again. Either way, that's not the point of this video, right? If that was the reason why I think music has aged badly over the course of 7 months, then I should probably just delete my channel, because that makes no fucking sense. It's a me problem, right? But that's not why I'm here. Now, yes, I did get sick and tired of the album, but I gave it a lot of time, away from my life, away from my music consumption. I've given it space. I didn't touch it for a few months. And even then, after a break as reinvigorating as 5 months was, like, I was low-key like enjoying a wider variety of music. I was really enjoying my time, listening to other artists that isn't Playboi Carti. I was really having a good time, okay? But still, despite that, I recently checked out music again, like maybe a week or 2 ago. I just didn't have time to record a video because I was getting fucking ass raped by assignments. I played it again a few weeks ago, and it was like around 6 or 7 months ago, okay? 6 or 7 months. Oh shit, man. Shut the fuck up. What the fuck are you doing there, sitting on your ass, stroking your fucking cock all day? 6, 7, 6, 6, 7. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to talk about Playboi Carti, and you're here talking about 6, 7. Oh my god. Okay, you know what? It's not my fault that it was 6 or 7 months ago, but still, I can't change the time. However, you can change your lifestyle by getting off Instagram and actually finding a job and discovering that there's more to life than just 6, 7. But okay, anyway, that was a bit off topic. Music 7 months later, I've realized that it has aged pretty poorly, and that's mainly because it doesn't offer much substance when it comes to the sound he was pioneering with this album. I know that when it comes to Playboi Carti, his lyrics don't really mean anything. The whole appeal is how his voice meshes with the instrumentals, and that's why I became such a huge fan in the first place. Like, the way his voice was so perfect as an instrument when it came to like complementing the beat that Pierre Bourne made, or even Filthy to some extent, right? But still, on this album, his voice was as dry as half the instrumentals on here. Now that I think about it in retrospect, right? Half the instrumentals here are the most generic Atlanta trap beats I've ever fucking heard. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, sure, some of the drums here are pretty hard. Like, Charge Them Hoes a Fee, for example, I think is extremely underrated, despite the fact that Future was fucking dozing off on his verse for some reason. He was like completely gave up speaking English and decided to just speak in lean. So he was just completely zoning out. He was falling asleep in the studio. Even with that, the drums on that fucking song are so hard. Like, I fucking love how grimy and dirty the drums sounded on that song. But still though, despite the fact that I do like the drums on this album, they're just that. They're just drums. They don't really offer much in terms of anything else. They're just catchy Atlanta trap patterns and just all around pretty boring trap beats. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was just like consistently the same filthy, working on dying Atlanta trap beats that you could honestly just give to Young Thug and he'll do the same thing Carti was doing. Like, it was just really generic and uncreative compared to his discography, where like a lot of the instrumentals on his previous albums were like really pushing the curve. But over here, it doesn't really do anything. Don't get me wrong, like the small little run he had in the middle of the album where he was like being all lover boy-esque, I'd rather lie than lose you. I love that song still, even though it's AI. But still, even with those songs that clearly show the fact that Carti is able to go beyond his generic Atlanta trap sound that's present for the rest of this album, even for those songs, like, if you really think about it, they're not anything that special. They're catchy, they sound nice, but aside from that, they're not anything that special. Like, if you want to talk about special instrumentals that really try to push the curve and really try to innovate something in rap, look at Pop Out, look at Opium Baby. As unpopular as this opinion may be, if the entire album sounded like Pop Out or the leaked song Cops, if the whole album was like those songs, it would have probably aged better. I'm not gonna lie. It would have aged better for sure, because not only would I not be bored, while my ears would probably be absolutely raped and destroyed, I wouldn't be bored. And that's all that matters when it comes to Carti. He doesn't talk about much. His beats are generic if he doesn't try to push the envelope. So the biggest thing that Carti has to avoid, the biggest drawback of his music that he has to avoid, is getting people bored. And unfortunately, half the album here has me bored. Like, actually, I don't know why this album is 30 songs either. Like, people say it's a mixtape, it's an Atlanta-esque mixtape, but it was literally promoted as an album, like Carti's third studio album, like his comeback album after 5 years. Like, he has been promoting that since way before the album came out. So like, the fact that it runs more like an amateur mixtape full of big name features who, to be honest, don't really do much. Like, they were just there. I guess like the only features that really did shine were like Young Thug and Travis Scott on Philly. I guess like they were like the only features that really did do something. And not to mention the fact that Twin Trim, for some reason, is a full-blown Uzi Uzi song. And while Uzi did sound good right there, I thought he was just alright. It was like a hint and a taste of his old self in like 2018, 2017. But it was a really short song and they didn't really go back and forth like we hoped they would, you know, like Cardi and Uzi. A lot of let down expectations on this album. I was just glazing this so hard because, not gonna lie, the hype got to me, okay? I was really embroiled in this whole hype rollout thing that I was just completely blind to the flaws this album had. While I did acknowledge there were flaws, I just like kind of brushed them off to the side because I was so happy that this album was finally out and that it had catchy trap songs. But now that some time has passed, I realized that his older works have aged better than this because there isn't the same degree of creativity. He was just talking on this album, I'm not gonna lie. He was just talking, okay? But still though, I'm not making this video to hate on Cardi. I know his next album, Baby Boy, is still about to drop in like 10 years or something. I don't fucking know. I really don't care about that album anymore, not gonna lie, because he keeps like blue balling it. I'm not going through the same thing I went through for music, especially since I will be at a higher risk of falling for the whole hype rollout side of things, you know. But still, my point still stands, okay? I don't hate this album. It has just gotten boring for me. And it's just unfortunate because I feel like there's not a lot of juice on this album. Like, it feels like after you consume it once or twice or after a few times, it just dries up, really. There's not much Cardi has to offer here, which is just unfortunate. Not gonna lie, Die Lit, A Whole Lot of Red is still like my favorite Cardi album, but still, if the whole album was like Pop Out and Opium Baby and really did try to push the sound even further and maybe include like, you know, the previous songs I mentioned, like the whole Loverboy run that he had on music. If he had Opium Baby and Pop Out-esque songs on this album with that Loverboy run, maybe towards like the end of the album to show like a bit of a character arc, you know, instead of just being put in the middle of the album for some reason and then going back to I'm jumping on drugs, don't do this, my I'm not gonna say that word, but either way, okay, I've complained enough. I promise I'm not a Cardi hater. I still love Cardi. I still love some of the songs here. Soft Atlanta Baby is actually extremely underrated. It's so catchy. I love the beat. But yeah, other than that, this album doesn't have much to offer. Like, half the album sounds like he phoned it in as well. So essentially, this album did not age as well as I hoped it would. And I'm not gonna lie, I might have been wrong with my Whole Lot of Red connection that I made all of those months back, you know. Can't wait for Baby Boy, I guess. Some more Atlanta trap bangers. I'm ready to hear more Wake Up Filthy ass songs and fucking jumpin' songs and This One Got It type songs. I'm so excited, man. Let's go!
I'm jumping off code, do that right now.